Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the 26th of August. Aussie markets just closed, but I've basically just thought I'd bring up some quick scans I'd done on the American market. I created a new scan. I can't remember if I showed you, but basically I'm created this list where I can dump market analyst predictions, and I can now sort it by the percentage difference between their target and the last close, which is very handy. You can see here there's lots of targets which are very overblown. I've got I can see over here, like if it's what sectors they're in, what the ticker is. I can click through to a chart, who made the prediction, and which place they work for. And moving through, you can basically just have a look, find a decent prediction. Oh, I don't know, something around here, 309. Who's this? And then look at the date, try and find one that was pretty recent, like that one there is pretty recent. That was CrowdStrike. Let's stay away from that one. Go down a few more. 289, look for a date. We want something in August this year, would be nice. But failing that, there's one there that's, what's that one? Sol Gel Technologies. So this guy here has put a price target, which is about 248% above what the closing price is today. And he only did that a couple of months ago. So let's check it out. It's in healthcare because most of them are. You bring it up, and there it is there. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. Bit of sideways consolidation. His price target was, what's that, 285, which is quite a while away. 285. What I like to do is also look at what the price was at that time. So that was, what do you say that was? The 24th of the 6th. What I like to do is bring out a vertical, move across. I've got the date up here, so I move across till I see the 6th month, 24th day. You're right there, boom. So that's how it was trading when he made that prediction, and I like to do that just to make sure that basically because he's made a prediction which is what do we say, 221% above what it's trading at. I just want to double check that it hasn't been like a massive gap down where they've had a share split or something like that. It was a nice little triangle over there. Look at that triangle, pop, done. So yeah, that's the kind of thing I like to do. But what I did was jump through, and I just went through a whole bunch of them and picked out some decent ones. And look, to tell the truth, everything in America with this kind of massive blowout is pharmaceutical, biotechnology type stuff, mainly because they're a make or break kind of industry. So if there's a good opportunity for one, it can just absolutely skyrocket. Either that or it fails and it's nothing. They don't tend to grind up slowly to their price. They're all dependent on regulators approving drugs and phase 1 through to 5 trials and stuff like that. And those can be very dynamic. But what I like to do is pick ones that have gapped down, which a lot of them have. I mean, you see there's a massive gap on this one, but I would be shooting more for this gap. It's had 2 good days. Just got to clear that top there, and that's a good signal that it could go up further. And when I say 2 good days, I mean these things can move quite far. That's a 6% in a day candle. So they can move quite far very quickly, and you can do quite well out of them. I've done quite well out of them so far. So yeah, I'll just quickly brush through them because I've got about 7 minutes before I've got to leave. So yeah, obviously this one, it's got a 63%. That's ATYR. Then we've got BYRN. That one there, you've got to be aware when they keep coming down, gap down, keep coming down, gap down. However, it is sort of creating a higher low. and that's not a bad entry from my point of view anyway. You'll need to research yourself and figure out why these things have gapped down and where they are, but I'm just pointing out the charts on the things that I think look good. That one there's got about a 53% upside if you were to jump on it. PEPG, disclaimer, I am in this one, so that's why I've posted a few times. I think I got in around here somewhere, can't remember exactly, and it's dipped down. I rode that and we've gone up, created a little bit of a flag here. I put that flag price target to be just at the gap close, and we are currently sitting 20% below that gap close, so I'm pretty happy with that. I've made a little bit so far, and it looks like it's just broken out of this flag now. If I was to extend this out like so, to me that's a breakout, that's a good signal, and I'm happy with that. So yeah, that's PEPG. Don't ask me what they do. I just looked at the chart and went, that's worth chucking on, and I did. I chucked in over here because it was heading up. I was hoping it was going to do that. Turned around, made a low, and it's really picked up. And what I really liked is after this massive move up, we've got sideways consolidation. It didn't retreat. Retreat's okay, but when you've got the sideways consolidation, I like to think that that's where everyone thinks it should be priced. And now we've had this breakout. I'm shooting for the gap. Once I get up there, I'll just put a little stop loss further down. CNTX, I just like the name of it because it sounds like a swear word a little bit. That one actually broke down lower. That's a bad sign. But you see that looks like a small gap, but it's actually 50% away. And then you've got all of this inefficiency here where she dropped. So this one, personally, I would be just... Oh, that's right, I've got to set up an alert system. This one, I will be personally just looking for it to continue down a bit further and maybe have a bit of consolidation, and then I'd be aiming for this gap with the hope that it went right the way back up here. I mean, you're looking at, you know, being another healthcare stock, you'd be looking at trying to get up here somewhere, which is like a 3-bagger. That's pretty good. If you can get there, you'd be laughing. But yeah, I'd be looking for this to consolidate a little bit, and then I'd maybe throw a little bit in on an upturn and hope that it would close that gap for 50%. I might take profits at that point and then hope to ride it up to close this gap. And if I'm there, well, I'll just keep raising my stop and see where it goes. CRDF, this is another biotech one. This is what I was saying you've got to be aware of. This one's gap down, dropped, gap down. But it does look like it's made a higher low, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm not in it, but I may be at some point, who knows. DCGO, another healthcare. It's got a 71% gap there. It must have had some bad news or something here. It's dropped right down. I would be looking for this to consolidate. This is a pretty decent candle, like the ones where they've probed down and popped back up. It's done it here as well and then continued down. So that's not to say that it won't, but I would be looking for a bit of consolidation on that before I was thinking of joining on, but it is just another gap play that I thought I'd highlight. ENGN is another gap. That's got like 322% to close that gap. Yeah, there's nothing real special about that chart, but it's worth keeping an eye on. EVTL, I like this one. I call this one the stiletto formation. Just it's come up a couple of times. I've looked at it and gone, oh, look, that looks like a stiletto. It's like a kind of a shape with a... Anyway, that's got a 63% gap. If you were to make that, for me, it's just consolidating still. I'd want to see that turn up a little bit before I made any commitments. 63% is pretty good though. And again, it's just another one that's just continued down. NTVA, I do have some in this. I mentioned this last night. Actually mentioned it because it had been basing for a while, and there was lots. It was very wicky along the top, which tells me that there was lots of cells pushing it down, and then this one popped up, and I kind of made the comment that I thought that was pretty good because it's engulfed all that wickiness, which tells me that we've run out of sellers. And then just when it opened, I made the comment in one of my posts there that this is worth keeping an eye on. It looks pretty good. And well, it ended up that night going all the way 17% up. It has retreated a bit more, so there is more sellers in there. But I am in on this one. It's got a pretty good, what's that? So probably 5 months ago, this person jumped in and gave it a $20 price target, which, if that was to happen, would see it very, very high. Like $20 is right up there. Oh, that's, I've highlighted it for us already. So basically, I'll have to zoom out a bit. $20. If that gentleman was correct, we'd be looking at like an 11 bagger. I don't hold too much in the analysis reviews, but I like to see a few of them and I like to see them right up. But for me, I would be aiming for this gap if that was to get there, or even these highs would do me. Jesus, I mean, even that high would do me. What are we looking at there? I mean, I'd be following it up with a stop, but that high is like 58%, and you can't complain about that. So I am in that one, MTVA. I don't like the fact that it ran here and then retreated and it's made a lower high. But I've seen that before, and the gaps still get closed. I've seen that on a deal. GAMB, what's that one? Gambling.com. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a gap, and it's not looking like a great stock. I probably wouldn't be gambling on that one, pun intended. GOSS, what are they? Another healthcare. They always are. And the healthcares, you kind of, they look like just an average chart that you'd normally see, but then you do something like that and you realise that that's 80% there. That's had like an 80% move, and if you were to jump on that and get back up to that spot, which it looks, not that far away, there is a gap there. There is a gap, which I quite like. Two nice big green candles, little gap there, 54%. If we could get there, that's worth it, and I'd be putting a stop under it and hoping that it would go all the way up to there. But it is what it is. Guts. That looks like a fairly decent chart actually, because it's consolidated sideways for a little bit, and you're looking at a 124% if you can jump on that one. Hummer. Everyone likes a good Hummer. That's a 84% gap. You can see here I've marked out it's kind of double bottomed. I wouldn't even really call it a double bottom, but it's hit support there. And it would have been nice to get in down at that support because there was a gap closed there. And if you got in there, you're looking at around 30%. And once you get to that 30% stage, well, you just bring your stop up and you just let it ride. But would have been good to see that earlier. Jump in, close that gap on this massive candle, and then just bring your stop up somewhere around the top of these, or the bottom of that candle even, and just let it float around, and hopefully one day you'll end up 86% in front. INUV, don't like the looks of that one at all. There is a gap there and everything, but it's just descended. It still looks like it's descending to me. IVVD, that looks pretty good. We've had a bottom, created a high, another higher bottom, higher high, higher bottom, and we're looking at around 51%. So yeah, that one's worth keeping an eye on as well. It's got a $10 price target there from someone. When was that? That was back in 25 though, so I don't tend to pay attention to that too much. This one's an interesting one, 239. I don't know why KPTI has dropped that far. Another pharmaceutical one. You can see there's a bit of support down here. You could sort of say as long as it got back up to there, you'd be pretty happy. But yeah, another good opportunity if it plays out. Lens, I'm not a fan of that one too much either. I would want to see a little bit of an upturn on this side. MGX, there's a small gap there. But yeah, basically I just had this one on the chart because it was quite a high valuation, but that was 25. Oh, this one was only the other day, right? So this person the other day on the 11th of August has said that it's worth $7, right? So if we pull this out, we go along to August 11, it's right there. So you can see what the price was when he jumped on it. And $11, that's not even on my chart. It's right off the top, but you know, you're looking at quite a decent run for $11. Oh, I've got to fix my grabbies. Let's just run another one. Right, $11. You're looking, well, 7-bagger if that was to happen. But I mean, that's got a long way to go, and that's as far back as the chart goes. So it's been up there previously. Will it get there? I don't know. MLTX, don't like the locks of that one. She's angled down. PPBT. It's got another one with a couple of gaps. Obviously here there was a like a reverse split or something. It has gap down, made a bear flag, but they're all green, and there's gap down again, which is like the typical bear flag. But since then it's consolidated, it has picked up a little bit, and if you were to get back up to the close that gap, you're looking at 72%, and from there up to this gap, 108%. That's pretty good. SNTI, there's another gap play for you. Doesn't look too bad, that one. That's travelled along this plane for quite some time, dropped down, and it's travelled sideways again. If that was to pick back up, you're looking at 142%. TENX had a good day last night. What was that worth? About 14% last night. That was, you know, even that's pretty decent on an account. So yeah, that's looking pretty decent because of the pickup. I quite like that. It's got 460% to close that gap, but I sort of pick it as maybe coming up to this spot where it was heavily traded for quite some time before it picked up, and that would give you 150, and then you could just put your stop under it and let it ride. I was in a dill, and then out we went. I got into it down here somewhere. It was it's been quite profitable for me. I've doubled my money on it. Yeah, I was regretting not jumping out on this day. I didn't have a stop set, and it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. She jumped up, jumped back down, but I really liked these candles. I stayed in it, and then when this one came, I knew it was looking good. That was a bullish engulfing candle, which I did call, and up she went. And then, of course, it got a notice from NASDAQ to say it's at risk of being delisted. Down she come. But then last night, she popped back up again. So, look, it's one of those ones I look at it and I think, was it worth getting out? I don't know. I did set a stop just under this gap close, mainly because there was support, and I was hoping it would just bounce off that. So I set a gap close down here, and look, theoretically it has bounced off it. It's probed through it, but it closed above it, and then it's come down and bounced it again. So, you know, whether I got out too early, I don't know, but I did double my money, so I'm happy with that. And that could run across this support line for a little bit, and I'd have to do the maths to see, because they don't have enough equity apparently to be in the NASDAQ. I would run some maths on it and see how far away they are from what price they need to be to make sure that they satisfy that. They have an $8 guess around here. This one's got a 6. This one here is 11, done on the 8th of the 3rd. So sorry, the 3rd of the 8th, which is, I've probably already marked it. That's probably what that is. Yeah, it is. So at this point, someone's decided it's worth $11. It's worth looking at again. UNCY, that's a pretty decent gap fill. It's more likely than the rest because it's so close, but it's not as rewarding though, is it? has come down a bit. Be interesting to see if that travels sideways. And UPB is the last one. Yeah, look, I don't hold a lot on this gap play because it came up and then corrected, obviously on bad news or something here. You never know, could get there, $260. So anyway, I just wanted to float those out there. I've got to nip off now, go and grab the kids. I'm 10 minutes late already. And yeah, I hope that's given you some stocks to have a look at and check. And yeah, have a good day. See you later.